Welcome back to some more professional StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Zerg, a best of 3 series where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Hardwire. Spotting here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, but playing with the red Terran SCVs, we have the most recent winner of the GSL Code S. We're looking at none other than Cure's main command center. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones from Canada, she goes by the name of Scarlett. I'm actually very happy for Cure. So, I used to cover Cure pretty much every single week on the YouTube channel. I would say like maybe 2 to 3 years or so ago. And then a couple of other Terran players, most notably Clem, became very good. And I haven't casted as much Cure ever since. That being said, Cure was always a very, very strong Terran player who just, in tournaments, couldn't really close it out. Now, in case you're unfamiliar, the GSL Code S over in South Korea is definitely the most prestigious event over in South Korea and maybe in all of StarCraft 2, with the exception of maybe IAM Katowice, which is considered to be the World Championships. But there's no denying that Cure finally got a premier tournament victory under his belt. It always seemed to me that he was very strong online, but then as soon as, so those games are being played in a studio offline, right? So you actually see your opponent, and oftentimes there's a crowd as well, though obviously right now that's not really going on in the same way. Anyways, it's very different. It's a very different experience playing from a stage than, when you play from home. Either way, Scarlett, over the last couple of weeks, has looked ridiculous. I mean, I've seen a couple of her games here and there, and I had a quick little peek actually on her League ranking as well, and it turns out, if you look at her performance over the last decade or so, she's actually currently considered to be at her best form ever. I mean, obviously you gotta take the League stats with a grain of salt, but there's no denying that, more skill is better, right? Anyways, I haven't seen this particular series yet, but I know that Scarlett is on fire. So we'll find out together exactly what this match is gonna hold. It was played recently during the finals of DreamHack Winter. So quite literally, I don't know, like a week or two ago at this point. Very recent. I'm excited to find out exactly what ended up going down between these two players. Not really expecting any crazy build orders here. Cure, a very stock standard Terran player. Generally speaking, he doesn't really go for anything wild. The same can be said for Scarlett. Oftentimes for Scarlett, it seems that she finds a strategy she really likes and then she kind of just sticks with that. And she does it over and over and over again. I mean, obviously in a tournament format, it is clever to mix it up every once in a while, but pretty much all the top level players do have a certain favorite play style that they like to execute more so than the others. Nice little bit of control though, not really losing any Zerglings here. Not losing the Creep Tumor either. Okay. He did get a Zergling right there in the end, but a Zergling for, well, I guess one Reaper, right? Zerglings without speed, definitely not the end of the world, especially when you go for such a quick third hatch opener. A lot of Terran players have not really been blocking the third bases anymore. I mean, I guess on this map there's two different third bases that you can take as well, so maybe it's not ideal, but that's something we used to see all the time against this triple hatch opener, where you basically delay the Zergling speed for a little while. You, bring an SCV to the party as well, a scouting worker, and then you leave that scouting worker on the other side of the map for a little while to prevent the third from coming up. And at that point, it gets a little bit awkward for Zerg, because then you have no gas, so you can't really go for, well, you have a little bit of gas, but you can't go for the link speed just yet, and you have to, pull the second queen from the main base and go for an extra queen and all that just to be able to secure that third. It gets a little bit awkward, but Terran players have stopped doing that for some reason. I'm not 100% sure. I guess they just really want those extra couple of minerals that scouting worker can mine in the meantime at home. Either way, quick 3cc opener right here from Cure. As expected, the most classical way of opening up. It's very stock standard, it's very strong. So basically you go for triple command center really quickly, but then you also do follow it up with Banshees. So the Banshee timing here it's gonna be 410, 420 or so, depending on the execution. And if there would be a roach push coming, a roach push from the Zerg would usually hit, if it's a relatively macro-focused one, so you go for 36 drones or so. Usually it hits right around 4.5 minutes. So if this would be a roach opener, I mean, sure, a lot of SCVs would go down, but eventually the Banshees would hold. And then you still have that triple CC, obviously, to drop the mules with, and it kind of evens up. So I love this opener right here from the Terran. It's extremely good. Doesn't really have any noticeable weaknesses. Even going for the cloaking field right now as well, so Cure. Definitely bringing a couple of Banshees to the party. Now, I think it's scouted. That Banshee providing high ground vision for a little bit. If Scarlett didn't already see the Banshee on the minimap, now she certainly has. She had to move that. She had to move that Overlord. Careful, careful, Cure. Okay. Cure almost losing those units over here, even though I don't think he saw those Zerglings. Anyways, Cure is gonna force out those Spore Crawlers. Honestly, I'm not even entirely sure if the cloaking field right now is worth it, because as soon as you see the Banshee, Zerg already has to go for Spore Crawlers regardless. So I'm assuming we see Spore Crawlers everywhere. Yeah. So right now, the Banshee Cloak, I mean, it's okay. It's not super expensive, but it seems like just, you know, going for the little green light over there temporarily in case of like an Overlord Scout and then just canceling it. Forcing that response from the Zerg player. Probably not a bad idea. Either way, I mean, obviously, it can still be a nuisance over here. Say Scarlett decides to take her 4th base down on the low ground. Either way, Banshees are going to go into the main base. They'll try and deal as much damage as possible. 2 is perfect because you can one-shot those workers. Hellions, in the meantime, going on the left side of the map. That drone is not going to get too far. It does give our Zerg player, though, the heads up that there is a Terran army moving on the left side, so not entirely wasted. But yeah, now that cloaking field didn't really do much, right? Maybe it'll be helpful later on, I don't know. Cure definitely knows how to play Terran better than I do, so but it just seems like a bit of a waste. Either way, follow-up right now from the Terran player is going to be that bio army, so he's going to go for an infantry-based force. We'll see if he goes for siege tanks or Widow Mines here in a little bit as well. Either is good. In this particular case, though, I think Widow Mines will probably serve a little bit better just because of the approach that Scarlett is going for. So Scarlett is going for a Lingbane army for now. Lair was pretty late, all things considered. So we don't really see a Spire or anything along those lines. Not even any Evo chambers yet. Okay, I was going to say, these Evos are actually very late for someone who did not open up with a Spire. Not ideal. Okay, now this is a good surround over here by Scarlett, though. Okay. Those Hellions eventually do get shut down. Baneling speed at this point is done as well, but I don't really like this Evo chamber timing all too much. So you can see right here, the 1-1 for the Terran is already about halfway done. And then for the Zerg, they still have to start up. Now, normally we do see this delayed if it's like a Muta start, but Scarlett didn't go for a Spire or anything along those lines, so we just have very, very late upgrades. This does mean that Cure is going to have some very powerful mid-game armies that can go across the map that will be upgraded. So the way it works is that every single one of the Marines that we'll see on the battlefield are going to have, well, +1 more damage and +1 more armor, right? So these upgrades, they will be out of sync for a very long time. Big counter-attack from the Zerg player in the bottom right-hand corner. Not a planetary fortress here over at the 3rd. Reinforcing, though. Reinforcing units should be coming up soon enough. Just pulling the SCVs. Trying to bait that Zerg army into the Widow Mine. Scarlett, though, realizing what's going on. So 7 SCVs end up going down over here. Alright. So this would be the first time where Cure can really go for an all-out assault. Not really expecting him to go for the move out right now. Normally we see the big timing attack with +2/+2 finishing, so that's what he started up just now. He's already got the drilling claws upgrade done as well, so the Widow Mines are going to be able to burrow nice and speedy. I think these Widow Mines are supposed to be in that Medivac. Cure a little bit too quick on the shift queue. Either way, Banshee's in the top left-hand corner. Eventually, well, one of them at the very least is going to be able to sneak out, but yeah, look, now it realizes it forgot its cargo. A little bit awkward. Hello. There we go. These were supposed to go in the main base. Cure right now, though, accidentally scouts a Zerg army on the right side of the map. Banshee over here, now responsible for 10 kills, so maybe it's not too bad. Marines over here, though, do stim forward. And this is now going from bad to worse, honestly, for Scarlett. This is really not looking too good. She doesn't really have too much going. Now, she is going to go into the Hive. She is going to go into the Hydra Den. So I guess it's going to be a Lurker transition. That makes sense. This is going to be an extremely passive game, though, from the Zerg. She's not really going to be able to do much for another couple of minutes. Very patient play as well. You're hoping to bait that Zerg army back. At the same time, rocks are being knocked down in the center of the map. And it works. I mean, that was only 3 kills. I think it could have been like 7, but... Widowmine drop still threatening at the back of the natural on the 3rd base as well of the Zerg player. Cure has been relentless with cleaning up all of that creep spread in the center of the map, so it's quite difficult to actually get good trades. Nice burrowing and unburrowing as well here by Cure. Picks up, gets on out of there. This is now that moment when those Widowmine drops come in once again, and this is bad. Retargeting her as well by Cure, manually detonating on top of the specific drones that he chose. +2/+2 is about 90% of the way done. Wouldn't be surprised if the big Terran army starts moving here in a little bit. If Scarlett decides to attack into that, that would be awful. I mean, it can also just continue onwards with this medevac dropping, right? These traits are very, very, very efficient for Cure. Look at the supply count right now. Yeah, Scarlett a little bit out of it here. Here I am, hyping up the Zerg player here, and obviously it's the game where... Okay, maybe she can catch a break? Yeah. A little bit of a miscontrol right there by Cure, but the supply count... At this point in the game, it's supposed to be even. Now, the 4th CC was very late for Cure, which is why I anticipated him going for a 2-2 push. But apparently, not really too concerned with any of it. Looks like Widowmine drop right here on the left side of the map. Will detonate. 4 drones end up going down. It's just a couple workers here and there, right? But now it is a grand total of 29 of those drones that Cure has killed. Yeah, he's looking very dominant here. Alright. Looks like the bigger chunk of the Terran army is moving. Drops right here on the right side of the map as well. Scarlett should be able to transition towards lurkers, though. We don't have any Hydras yet. Do we have... yeah, we do have a lurker den. So the lurker den is going to finish its barrow upgrade soon enough. That upgrade is pretty quick. And then the ranged upgrade is a follow-up as well. Cure has got the tempo lead. But if the Zerg here wants to come back... First off, she needs to stop losing drones. And secondly, she needs to get a couple of lurkers out, because lurkers are extremely difficult to kill with just a marine-based army. Unless your name is Maru. Remember that game on Hardwire, actually, from a couple weeks ago? No, actually, I think it's only like a week ago. Anyways. Oh, a beautiful split right there by Scarlett, making sure that not the entire Zerg army detonates. Without lurkers, though, this is going to be kind of tricky to hold. So there's one of them. Yeah, lurkers have the tendency to just force that Terran army to back off. Cure right here. Probably checking the amount of spines that are being shot his way. A couple lurkers here coming in from the side as well. Alright. She really needs to clean up this army. And it looks like she will. Oh, okay. 33 kills right there on that one Widowmine. Not bad whatsoever. Terran, though, just pumping out more and more Marauder, Marine, Medevac, Mine. So every Terran unit that starts with an M, soon it's going to be fully upgraded as well with 3-3. Zerg still just... Is she just sitting on 1-1? Okay, no, she did get 2-2. I was going to say, that will be awful. Widowmine drop now in the main base once again. Cure is relentless. Like, we've seen him lose a couple of units here and there. But the thing is, those Marines are not very expensive anymore at this stage in the game. Cure's got, well, you can see 3,500 minerals almost in the bank. Sure, losing 10 or so Marines here and there is kind of rough, and you don't really want it to happen, but this has been a very dominating game so far. 49 drones have been killed. The only thing I don't really like here about the Terran player situation is the lack of CCs. So he's only just now adding on additional command centers. And the lack of, like, a Ghost Academy, from what I can tell. No, there is a Ghost Academy. Okay. So there's even a nuke queued up already. But no Ghosts at the very least just yet. But honestly, Cure here can make a round of Ghosts. And then all of a sudden the Lurkers will be countered as well. And then I'm afraid there's really... How are these two over here? Then I'm afraid there's not that much going on anymore for our Zerg. Scarlett has been holding on strong, though. Being 50 supply down for the majority of the last 5 minutes, it seems. Now the Hive is in some trouble as well. Zerg desperately trying to go into the main base. The Hive is at this point gone. With that, the late game tech can't be acquired until she remakes a Hive. Okay, so it's gonna be game number 1 that goes in favor of Cure. Alrighty. So, game number 2 takes us to Curious Minds. I like this map. This map is sweet. Anyways, a good game right there by Cure. Not really running into a whole lot of problems. If you want to be very critical, I guess we saw him being a little bit slow on Marine pickups every once in a while, but maybe that can be attributed as well to server ping, because obviously most of the time Cure participates over in Korea. And, I mean, having less ping is better, right? Especially when you're playing a real-time strategy game. And maybe he was also a little bit late on those additional command centers in the late game. So he was sitting at like 3,000 plus minerals, and then he finally added on some additional command centers. I mean, If we're being very critical, I think those could have been a little bit quicker as well, but it doesn't really matter all too much. So what exactly went wrong for Scarlett? So, shall we get nerdy about this? Let's go to Zerg school for a little bit. So, broadly speaking, there are two openers that Zerg players go for. If you're playing a macro build, that is. So, broadly speaking, in both instances, you go for that triple hatchery start. However, the follow-up is a little bit different. So, in one of them, you go +1/+1 first, so double Evo chamber, then into a lair, then into a baling nest, right? And then into Bane speed, right? That's option one. That's option one. Option two is where you go for the lair, you go into the baling speed, right? Baling nest, Bane speed, and then you go into +1/+1. However, what Scarlett ended up doing that previous game is she went for a quick lair, which is nice because she can get the baling speed out, right? Which is fantastic against like marine-based pushes, but you can also defend against banshees a little bit easier because with the lair you can obviously get mobile detection out in the form of an overseer. However, then she did not follow it up with quick upgrades. So the upgrades were just kind of very late. The lair was made and then, you know, baling speed was gotten, but really nothing else was capitalized on. I mean, obviously she was under a lot of pressure and maybe it's a build I'm not too familiar with. But it seemed to me that it almost looked like a Mutalisk opener, right? Where you go for the quick baling speed, but then also a Mutas at the same time. But without the Mutas, it was a little bit awkward. I think she could have started up those upgrades quite a bit quicker. And obviously, that all on its own is really not that big of a deal. But it did show, I think, a little that she maybe just felt a bit out of it. Barracks coming on over. Ooh, look at the vent going up and or open and close. Look at that. I've been playing Alien Isolation. A horror game. I've also watched the first Alien movie. Let's just say that as soon as I see a vent like that now, I get a little bit anxious. Anyways. Curious Mind is a much quicker map as far as rush distances go. So you can go to the other side of the map very easily. I kind of like it, actually. I've been a big fan of this map. It's been fun. Good to see some variety as far as the strategies and whatnot go as well, because you can't really open up in the exact same way on the... Well, you can, but you'll be under a lot of pressure a lot quicker. Those Hellions obviously will just be able to drive across the map a little bit faster as well. Cure did obviously lift up the barracks there to try and kill an Overlord, so the reactor here is a bit late. I guess we're still going to go for the switcheroo and just go for one Hellion earlier on. So even though the Overlord was killed, it does result in a slightly quicker reactor and therefore, you know, later Hellions. Not the end of the world here for Scarlett whatsoever. But still, I mean, look at those Marines. They're just hunting Overlords right now, and I kind of like this. Link speed is not done yet. We only have 2 Zerglings out. Scarlett doesn't really want to make additional Zerglings at this point in the game either. The Queen here wants to defend really badly, but she knows that there's probably going to be 2 more Hellions soon enough. Nicely done right there by Cure. Ooh, alright. We've got ourselves an armory as a follow-up. The armory allows the Hellions to morph into Hellbats. Hellbats are obviously very strong, because Zerglings can't really deal with it very effectively. That being said, Queens are obviously phenomenal against it, and a Roach Warren would be great. But Scarlett probably won't be scouting this because of that Overlord that got killed. Okay, alright. I was gonna say, if the Zerglings get in, that would be kind of bad. But good timing right there. Maybe Scarlett can kind of read into this a little bit, though. Because those Hellions are supposed to be on the other side of the map at this point in the game. And maybe some reinforcing Hellions would stop those couple of Zerglings for a run-by. Yeah, she desperately starts making a lot of defensive units here. And I think it's a good read. Even though she hasn't seen much, the positioning on those units is incorrect. So a lot of Queens are moving to the front. Zerglings are being pumped out as well. Queens will probably try and target fire down the medevac. And I think Cure probably wants to go home here. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Hellion drop inside of the main base instead. I kind of like it. Ooh, this could be very good. All the Queens are currently at the front. Scarlett does see this little nuke of her main base. Queen's desperately running on over towards the main once again. She does get a little bit of a heads up, I suppose. Zerglings were thinking about going for a counterattack, but they're now also coming back home. It's a little bit awkward, though. Okay, these units over here will be cleaned up for basically free! Thought for a second we were gonna see like a dozen workers going down there. This is where you wish you had the smart servos upgrade done as well, so you could transition a little bit quicker between that Hellbat and Hellion mode. All things considered, not the cleanest of crisis management here for the Zerg, but... Oh, especially if she can get the medevac. Okay. Sorry guys, you're not going home. Not the cleanest of crisis management there, but much better than what we saw in the first game. Only 3 workers here were killed by Cure, and obviously it's not like that, you know, that armory opener is free. Cure going into 1-1 right now. No third command center, though. Okay. So, when you see this much production, for all intents and purposes, so it's 5 barracks production, 1 factory, 1 starport. For all intents and purposes, that means a 2-base all-in from the Terran. I think we'll probably see the reactor, or sorry, the tech lab here added to a barracks soon enough, and then we'll see the... I hope so, anyways. Maybe not. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. I was going to say, the combat shield is going to be a little bit late if we're not careful. So it's going to be Siege Tank, Marine, Medivac. Roach Warren comes up. 1-1 is being researched here as well by Scarlett. Okay. She's going to be going into a Roach Ravager opener this time around, which kind of sucks in the late game, but it is very good when it comes to defending these kind of timing attacks from the Terran. So I like this quite a bit. Don't know if she's picked up on the fact that there is no third CC. Okay, well, the third CC starts up right now, but generally speaking, the latest in which we see that, or the latest point at which we see this third command center start up is about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. 4:30 or so, depending on the Terran's execution. So this is super late. So she dead scout the front. The problem is you can never really know if there's, you know, not a CC right over here, and then it's going to just float on over towards the low ground. Either way, Scarlett going to be playing that Roach Ravager style. I like it. A lot of the Korean Terrans actually seem a little bit vulnerable against this sort of unit composition. Maybe it's because they are very experienced playing against that Marine base, or sorry, against that Ling Bane based army. Roaches and Ravagers though. Oh god, oh god. Cure! Cure not paying attention. The Bio army just moved out. This now means that a ton of SCVs will start, well, at least taking damage over here. Maybe not that many will be killed, but she gets the perfect scout right now in the main base as well. 1-1 is finishing up soon. Roach speed is finishing up soon as well. Scarlett was already holding down the Roach button. This is a phenomenal position right here for the Canadian Zerg. Great moves by her. Nicely done. All right, so... now it's an awkward scenario for Cure. What do you do? Well, I guess you have to commit to the push. The problem is, when you commit to the push, you're gonna get overwhelmed. 1-1 is done for the Zerg. Roach speed is done for the Zerg. This army is gonna get absolutely decimated if it fights straight up. There's no Marines or any... or, sorry, no Marauders in this army or anything. It's just Marines and a couple Hellbats and then a Siege Tank. Okay, there are 2 Banshees out, which is nice. Do we have any mobile detection? We do. Oh, the Queens are moving to the front. Ooh, okay. I was wondering why the Queens were moving so far forward. We see a lot of Queen marches in Zerg versus Protoss, obviously. Not so much in ZVT. Scarlett, though, bringing the Queens towards the other side of the map in a Terran versus Zerg. I kind of like it. Those Banshees otherwise could deal a ton of damage. Now, this is still a properly turtled up Terran main, though. So, I don't really think there's that much potential for the Zerg to just push through this. Is she gonna try? Oh, I don't know if I like this. That seems to me like a Roach meat grinder right over here on that ramp. Either way, she is gonna attempt. +2/+2 coming up already. Okay, 1 Siege Tank will be biled down there in the back, but my god, it's... yeah. That's a lot of dead Zerg units. That was definitely a little overly ambitious. 21 additional workers coming up right here for Scarlett. I mean, in her defense, she was maxed out there. So she couldn't make any additional workers and couldn't really transition towards anything else until she traded armies. And that army was pretty poorly traded. It's something, I suppose, but... yeah, I think that maybe may have been a little bit too much. Nice defense, though, by Cure. Holding on there. The problem is, at this point, Cure is sitting at 46 SCVs. Ooh. Versus 86 drones. 5th base coming up on the right side of the map as well. 4th base pretty much already fully saturated. Zerg's going to be able to go into 2-2. We did see a Hydra den as well. Hive is coming up. So I wouldn't be surprised, yep, if we're seeing a Lurker den as well. So Hydra, Lurker, Viper is a transition. Very powerful unit comp. For now, though, it's going to be mostly Roaches and Ravagers. Cure needs to get more workers out. He really needs a lot more SCVs here. Can we have a quick look at the resources lost? Yeah. 28 Roaches there got shredded. So there are some maps, right, where there's not a ramp leading down from the natural. And it's just kind of flat. On a map like that, that roach pusher that we saw just now would have been absolutely massive. And it would have just, you know, absolutely torn the Terran player apart. But the high ground, once again, proving to be very good. Alright. Cure trying to make the best of this. Terran at this point is very significantly behind. But honestly, most Terran players at this point would have already died. They would have already been out of the game. Scarlett is going to be going in for wave number 2. +2/+2 just finished though for the Terran player. +2 armor for the Zerg, a little bit late behind. Okay, one siege tank there does get biled. And honestly, Cure is making this fight look so good for him. My god, Cure. There's a reason why this man is the current GSL champion. These fights are horrible for the Zerg. Once again, though, we did see some SCVs going down. So 18 workers. Only 44 SCVs remain. Scarlett essentially forcing this into now, well, what seems to be an all-in from the Terran. It's really not that much army, though. Medevacs also not with that much energy here anymore. +2/+2 is done at this point for the roaches. Green's coming to the front as well to try and see if they can shoot some spines and maybe some of those medevacs. I think there should be more than enough for the Zerg to eventually hold on, though. The production here from the Zerg is just, yeah, blowing the Terrans out of the water. Despite the fact that these trades have not been particularly efficient for the Zerg whatsoever. I mean, you can see the amount of resources lost. It is pretty evident at this point that, yeah, that economy advantage that Scarlett has is huge. Alright, so she's following it up with +3/+3 as well as Vipers. I wouldn't mind seeing some of those lurker upgrades as well, but you can see she's a little gas starved, which is probably the reason why we pretty much only see gas drones over here. At least that was what we saw earlier. Obviously, as soon as I look back, there's going to be a couple more drones right there mining minerals too. Alright, so Cure needs to buy time. Ideally, he needs to go for a 4th command center. But you can see, okay, yeah, this is a different approach. You can see that he hasn't really added on a lot of SCVs anymore. I think this is going to be like a 3-base all-in right here from the Terran player. Just adding on barracks, what is that, 6, 7, and 8, I'm assuming? Yeah, 6, 7, and 8. So 8 barracks here in total for the Terran player. Just one big army, go across the map, hope for the best. I mean, obviously, you can always transition if you really want to. Parasitic Bomb at this point is out as well, though, so that's going to soften up those medevacs a little bit. Hydrodan already being remade over in the Natural Expo. Parasitic Bomb is very annoying. Adrenal Glands. Or sorry, Adrenal Glands. Adaptive Talent, which is the Lurker Burrow Speed upgrade. Very good. Parasitic Bomb right there on another one of the medevacs. They magically split, but this is painful. Yep. 3 units right there for the Zerg. Oh, he's floating on over his old main base. Okay, that's the plan. Fair enough. He is adding on a couple SCVs, though. Cure just trying to make the best of it, but I've got a feeling... Well, I mean, honestly, I feel like this man was dead like 8 minutes ago. And Cure is still in it. His army's looking quite formidable, too. 59 versus 83 SCV, or workers right there. So, +3/+3 coming... Yeah. There's not going to be a ghost transition here anytime soon, that's for sure, but... Cure is looking so dangerous still. If Cure wins this, I'm gonna be so surprised. Matter of fact, does get picked off, so these units aren't going home. It's also because there was a fight happening right here on the right side of the map. "13 drones, by the way, in total there. Not bad whatsoever. Okay. Few lurkers are out. There are some siege tanks as well. Siege tanks are pretty decent against lurkers, obviously. But abductions are also pretty decent against siege tanks. These fights, I don't like him. I don't like him for a Zerg player at all. This is, once again, a good engagement here for Cure. Probably the best he can hope for. Okay. 12 Hydras coming up. I think this is the moment where we're going to see a full-on transition towards Hydra Lurker. Maybe a couple more roaches here and there, but not too many. I feel like Sarah would be sneaking out Oh, well, I mean, that's one way of walking. BioArmy moving down south. Cure has actually been clawing his way back into this game. Honestly, if anything, this game is just showing how incredibly good this Terran player is. I am so surprised that this game is still going on. Scarlett is actually running out of money here. Or sorry, like out of tech here. Like she's got money. The main base at this point is gone, but... Parasitic bombs. Oh, nope, we're gonna go for abductions instead. That's one way of doing it. New lurker den being made. Triple hatchery also added on. A lot of bases were destroyed here, though. Cure, you're such a maniac. It's like Cure was supposed to be dead in this game like 5 minutes ago at the latest. And it's like, nope, that's not true. I didn't get that memo. I know nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. That's not a fact. Nope. Alright. I don't know if we should expect any additional command centers this game. I think it's just going to be triple CC, fly them all over whenever bases run out. And just produce out of 8 barracks at once. This is also the scenario, though, where roaches and ravagers just don't really cut it anymore. We still do see quite a few roaches, so 27 at this point. But roaches just, yeah, they don't really do very well against that Terran army, especially once it's at 3-3 itself, which it is. Once those upgrades are evened in the late game, the roaches just get absolutely decimated. Cure still got control of the map, by the way, as well, which is really quite impressive. Looks like a small Zerg army is moving on over towards that side. Lurkers are just about to finish over here, but honestly, even with the lurkers down here, I don't actually know if that is going to be enough. Scarlett doesn't think so either, as she decides to abandon the base. Lurkers can maybe burrow over here in the back, but Cure obviously is going to be quite powerful. At the same time, there was a Terran army over here in the center of the map as well. Abductions coming up. Beautifully done right there by Scarlett. She's moving on over. Obviously, normally the 4th base is a planetary fortress, but in this case, it's just going to be the good old natural. Or maybe the main base? I don't remember. Actually, it's the main base. Natural is right over here. Just securing the 12 o'clock position. 17 drones end up going down. CC over here is gone as well, though. Scarlett does still have a bank. I think it's about time she spends the money. That Terran army from the top right-hand corner not done just yet. There's only 2 medevacs here and they're without energy, so this bio army isn't really healing either. We do still see 6 medevacs here in total. 2 more on the production tab as well. Cure is such a legend. I still think this is a Zerg advantage. Because there's just no good answer to the actual main army of the Zerg, right? Like, Cure can't actually fight straight up. But my god, is he making a game out of this? I mean, at this point, honestly, there's a... Well, she still has 5,000 resources in the bank. I would love to see Scarlett spend it. She's got no larva. Okay, that's a problem. She's only got a few hatcheries, really. Yeah, she can't really spend any of this money either. Okay, well, she can spend it by upgrading her roaches, ravagers, and lurkers and stuff, right? But... the problem that I'm seeing, though, I mean, there's 31 Marauders. With a good engagement, Cure can actually win that. I mean, at this point, there's 10 lurkers out, 31 Marauders, 3 siege tanks. It's doable. 1 lurker up north being a nuisance. Cure's not going to be able to scan very regularly. Viper a little bit too far forward. One of them gets killed. Siege tank over here does also end up going down. Lurkers once again want to move forward. Cure is picking his engagements beautifully. Ay, 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 ay. Fighting in the choke points, making sure he's got the concave. Right, as we all know, the concave much better than the convex in StarCraft 2. Just because of service area. Pretty chunky army, though, on the right side of the map again. These units haven't been healed up either. Because the medevacs are just out of energy. Hatchery will be cancelled. Scarlett is going to be forced to move all the way back home. Normally, at this point in the game, we see the Zerg player being pretty gas-starved. Somehow, some way, Scarlett has got no minerals here, but 2,200 gas. Cure doing a great job sticking in this game. I still feel like he's on the edge of being dead, but I've been saying that for 15 minutes, so what do I know? I think I'm correct. I'm pretty sure he's still on the edge of dying. Okay, blinding clouds right over here as well, giving those lurkers a little bit more time. And there's finally the engagement Scarlett was hoping for. But she was hoping there for a good 15 minutes. Alrighty, so our final game for today will be on Blackburn. So far, Cure has definitely been playing a more impressive series to me, but doesn't really matter. Once again, well, the score is evened up. Everyone's starting with the same number of workers, the same amount of supply. Even though Cure has looked pretty good there, and Scarlett may have made a couple mistakes here and there. If she can get it together in this match, she can definitely still win. So far, though, I'm definitely favoring Cure. Just seeming a little bit more solid. So he decided to go for a very aggressive opener in that previous game, right? So he decided to go for that 2-base, quote-unquote all-in, right? I mean, it's very all-in-y anyways when you take such a late third command center. Because the Zerg can just get such a huge eco and run away with it. That being said, that was a decision that Cure made. I feel like if that would have just been a super standard opener from the Terran player, maybe the initial Roach Ravager push would have done a little bit more. But honestly, the Terran player wouldn't have moved out in the first place, and then it would have been Roach Ravager versus just straight up Bio Terran. I think, everything considered, Cure is probably going to go for a normal opener here with a command center on the low ground. Apparently the barracks in a bit of a strange position. Maybe it's because the Zerg usually comes in with the Overlord from this angle. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So Scarlett is going to scout the main base here. She's probably going to find this barracks eventually, but there's going to be that one moment, right, where like, there's no barracks on top of the ramp. There's like 3 barracks on my side of the map, isn't it? Or aren't there? Yeah, so I actually like this here from Cure. Playing a small little mind game. Scarlett, though, she knows what's up. She's going to scout the barracks. But, hey, that was about 10 seconds of, like, plus 10 heartbeats a minute. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm not really expecting any fireworks here from Cure. What do we expect from Scarlett? Yeah, I don't think she's going to play that Roach Ravager style again either. I mean, you can definitely play a Roach Ravager on Blackburn. It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't feel as solid. I wouldn't mind seeing some Mutiling Bane, maybe. But judging by the previous games, at least, I think she's probably more of a Hydra Lurker player. I mean, most Zerg players are these days. Hydra Lurker seems to be just the better unit comp. It's a bit boring, maybe, but it's kind of what happens when a patch is around for a long time. I'm expecting a triple CC start here as well from Cure. Yep. There's the third CC. Then I guess a starport here as soon as the factory is done. Tech lab on the barracks. Do the big switcheroo. Eventually another tech lab. Go for the Stimpack upgrade. Then we'll go from there. Starport. Tech lab. Tech lab. Tech. Okay, maybe we want to go for a couple like Hellions first, and then a tech lab. Takes a little bit longer anyway for the starport to finish up. Alrighty. I would also not mind seeing the double evos going down pretty early. Raynor has been a big fan of that build again, where you basically go for the double evolution chamber before going for the lair. It is a little bit more difficult to deal with those bio pushes because of the later bailing speed, and obviously you don't get the detection out as early either. But since Raynor has been doing it, Cero has been doing it, and then pretty much all the other top level Zerg players have been doing it again as well. Yeah. Scarlett also does strike me as a pretty stubborn player, where she probably has found a build, and that's the one she does. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's just going to be lair into bailing nest, and then, you know, the safer approach, but I do like that Evo Chamber start. This map is actually quite difficult for Terran in the earlier stages of it, because you don't really know where to roam with the Hellions, right? So this is good. But now where's Cure gonna go with those Hellions? He's gonna have to go all the way, eventually, to come into the other attack path, right? Like normally there's like 2 or 3 attack paths you can cycle between. But on this map, hey, it's going to be a Liberator opener. Anyways, on this map, now I definitely want to see the double Evo first. Anyways, on this map, those Hellions have a very long travel distance between the different attack paths. And it just constantly keeps going. Slowing zones over here also not really helping out very much in that regard. So now we're at 220 gas. What are we doing with the gas? I have no idea. I like the Liberator. Liberators were basically the standard go-to opener for probably about a year or two in StarCraft 2. And then everyone else decided, I don't know why, but everyone all of a sudden decided, nope, Liberators suck. Now we're going to make Banshees again. Because before the Liberator style, we used to see Banshee openers all the time. Now it's once again Banshees. I guess it's to force out the lair timing for the Zergs. Yeah, that's probably the main reason. So there should be a nice little advantage right here from Cure at the very least for now. Bit of a mismatch here, a mismatch as far as strategies go. One drone? Nope. Yeah, I don't really like Hellions too much on this map. I mean, it's good to obviously have the Hellions, but you're just, like, you have to go all the way around. On most maps, you can just easily harass. Very good defense right now. Classic caster curse! I was gonna say very good defense there by Scarlett, not really losing anything. And then obviously, as soon as I started that sentence, the queen tippy-toes into that circle, and she gets liberated. That attack, the ability is called the Liberation Zone. Anyways, 1-1 coming up here for the... Oh, now it's a Spire. Okay, alright. So Baneling Nest into a Spire. So this time around, not super late Evo... Well, we're still gonna see super late Evos, I think, but at the very least, there's gotta be something to build up. And Mutas are gonna be pretty good. Cure's still making the best of the map layout, by the way. Those Hellions have been very obnoxious. I love that move. Not using a scan there, just killing the tumor like that. Alright, so Marines are out. 15 are loaded up into these medevacs. We're gonna go towards the other side of the map. Once the Mutas are out, though, medevac drops will be extremely difficult to execute. You can still do it, but obviously it becomes very risky once the Mutas are flipping and flapping around. Usually they'll be hovering around the dead space between the two main bases. One starts up right now as well for Scarlett. She already has 900 gas in the bank here. Spire about to finish up. She's got to smash her piggy bank pretty soon. And that will allow her to go for a bunch of Mutas. Ooh. We have enough resources for 11. Well, I guess Larva is a resource, huh? Hellions here, though. Ooh, trying to harass the gold base. I think these rocks need to be down, Scarlett. 12 Mutas. 12 Mutas all at once. It's a lot. Cure already transitioning towards the Widow Mine follow-up, so no siege tanks this time around. I like it a lot. Widow Mines here are going to be phenomenal. Widow Mines obviously can deal splash damage. I mean, siege tanks too, but siege tanks don't hit air, and, well, the Widow Mines are pretty good against those. Have the Mutas been spotted yet at this point? Have we seen the Spire? No, Cure has not seen the Spire. So these Mutas can actually absolutely wreak havoc inside of the main base of the Terran player. Cure is the kind of player who, generally speaking, seems to move out. Oh my god, this could be a disaster. This could be a disaster. Oh, oh, okay, never mind. This was... I think it was on purpose. Yeah, okay. I think the one Marine or something along those lines may have just seen the edge right there of the Mutalisks. And Cure was just repositioning his units a little bit quicker towards the main base. Now the Mutas, though, are over at the third. Nice moves right here by Cure. Didn't see the Mutas until very late. Still responded pretty well. Thor is gonna come up. Siege tanks, or sorry, creep spread here is gonna move forward. No siege tank production. But I mean, drilling claws and a Thor, pretty good. Pretty good against Mutas. I'm curious to see... curious. I'm curious to see if the Zerg player decides to stick on Mutas. Judging by the +1 flyer attacks, she will. Or if it's just gonna be a small group of them. Scarlett is piling on a lot of resources in these games. Infestation pit comes up. Okay. Careful, careful, careful. So 2-2 for the Terran. I mean, I know I hammer on upgrades a lot in my casts, but honestly, it's so huge. If you compare the 2-2 for the Terran to the 2-2 of the Zerg, it's rough. I wouldn't mind seeing a all-out assault, especially once the Thors are out. Is that a second Thor? Oh yeah, it sure is. Thors can be countered by Mutas. However, if not microed correctly, Mutas will absolutely get demolished. And obviously, there's already a lot of micro in the Zerg army, so I love the addition of the Thor here. Just because it's forcing the Zerg player to micro even more. Widowmine's over here. Okay, Zerg is coming in from multiple different angles. Actually, this fight is working out reasonably well. Don't want to sacrifice all the Banes right there on the Thor. Cure is going to be forced back home. +2/+2 is done though here for the Terran player. Stimpack activated. That's damaging that Terran army quite a bit. It's going to soak a bunch of that energy out of those medevacs. Hive for the Zerg. +3/+3 here for Cure. Okay. It's going to be difficult for the Cure player, for the Terran player here to transition towards a 5th base. 4 bases is obviously pretty good, but I think the 5th base has to be taken at the gold. Could also take the one all the way down south, but there's rocks here protecting it, and, well, Mutas can fly over there pretty easily. It's going to be hard for Cure to transition out of this. There is a 5th CC coming, though, so he'll probably try and take the gold. In the meantime, Zerg is taking the top right-hand corner. She's obviously fully mining the gold as well, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this base coming up in a little bit, maybe the 12 o'clock. There's a huge Zerg army, though. Okay, Baneling run by over here. There is a Widowmine. Widowmine, okay, not actually detonating there on the Banelings, but it looks like the cleanup here is nicely done by Cure regardless. Widowmine's over here as well on that high ground. Can the Banelings connect with the bio units? They cannot. Widowmine here in favor of the Terran player, getting a good hit in the Mutas. Mutas do regenerate very quickly out of combat, so shouldn't be that big of a problem for Scarlett, but she's got to be careful. Very, very clean defense here actually by Cure so far. Impressive stuff. He's moving very deep onto the creep, though. I don't like this too much. There needs to be another scan here. Yeah, instead, Scarlett right now is going to commit. Try and fight this Terran army everywhere she can. She's coming in from every single angle, and this is the worst-case scenario for a Terran player. Those medevacs probably won't be making it home either. I mean, a couple of drones ended up going down, but Scarlett did pull those pretty early. And that was a banger of a fight right there for the Canadian Zerg. Medevacs are being chased down as well. And medevacs, I mean, the best comparison I can make is it's like sentries, right? You really don't want to lose them. Medevacs are valuable units. They're expensive. And ideally, you keep them around the entire game long after you produce them once. It's a lot of dead medevacs, actually. How many did we see go down? 8. Yeah. Well, make that 9. Alright. In the meantime, Cure did secure the planetary fortress, or he is securing the planetary fortress at the gold base. Ultras are coming up. Scarlett playing Mutiling Beta into Ultralisks. I dig it. Very nice. +3/+3 coming up. Chitinous plating. That's the Ultralisk armor upgrade. Terran going for the building armor, and then also the ranged upgrade for the planetary fortress. This is, oh god, she can actually blow them up. Yeah, I didn't know of that until a little while ago. You can load Banelings or roll Banelings to the very back of the mineral line and then manually detonate them. And you can actually blow the SCVs on the other side, because the Banes obviously deal splash damage. Don't think that was particularly efficient, but at the very least it looked cool. I think that means Scarlett is in the zone here. Anyhow, how many Banelings are we on? 36. Okay, 36 with a couple more coming. Still though, Cure is now at 5 base production. 2 more command centers are coming up. Ultralisks are fun and all. They can be strong, but they can also be absolutely terrible. It very much so depends on how the Terran is feeling. Now, I do think that this is a fight, yeah, okay, where the Zerg player is feeling pretty good. Or a game where the Zerg player is pretty good. A little bit of an advantage here for the Zerg, so usually when you are ahead, Ultras can be good. But if it's like an even game where you're slightly behind, Ultras kind of suck. Either way, base at the 12 o'clock position was also killed. Nice moves right here by Cure, though, moving off the creep. Ultra over here running dangerously low on health, and Cure once again stims forward. Cure always seems in control, right? Look at the Ultras. Yeah, they do nothing. Ultras are so dumb. Well, apparently Scarlett disagrees. She's making 10 more. She's going for the anabolic synthesis upgrade as well, which is movement speed for Ultras off creep. I think it's 20% movement speed. So they will be able to catch up with this bio armor, this bio army better. Once again, I would love to see Ghosts. Apparently Cure doesn't really feel like playing Ghost too much today, but I would love to see some Ghosts. 6 more Ultras. They take forever to build, though. This Concave, once again, in the favor right here of the Terran player. A couple of the Queens, though, transfusing these Ultras back up to full, except for the one over there. Okay, now the Ultras are out. There's a bunch of Ultras somewhere. Oh, my God. Okay, here comes the pain train, I guess. Cure, I think it's time to go home. Those Ultras are gonna chonk through your army. Chomp, 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 chomp. The chonkiest of Zerg units still get killed by Widow Mines. That seems fair. Okay, good targeting right there by Cure. I love this as well. Corruptors are coming up for the Zerg player. So she's anticipating a Liberator transition, but there's no such thing. Cure is not countering the Ultras at all. Not respecting them one bit. To be fair, there's a good reason why nobody plays Ultras. Or very few people do. It's because most of the time they just don't really do anything. And you just kind of kill them with Marines and Marauders. But apparently Scarlett is like, what about I make a dozen of them? And you don't respect it still? No, he actually doesn't. Cure is still just going for Marines, Marauders, Medivacs. Alright, Greater Spire coming up for Scarlett. So even though there's no Liberators available here to kill for these Corruptors, the Corruptors can't kill any Liberators, Scarlett is going to be able to morph them into Brute Lords pretty soon. Brute Lord Ultra Queen Ling Bane. It sounds good in theory. Base once again reacquired here for Cure. I don't know if Scarlett can really push through this. Okay, failing over here, or sorry, Widowmine over there. Almost getting a good detonation. Ultra there gets kited backwards. A couple of the Ultras are going to be distracted. Okay, she does decide to pull those back into the battle. She's actually moving very far forward. In the meantime, Corruptors right now are taking care of all the Medivacs. But once again, Cure is very good in fighting, man. It's so strong. Whew. Look at the splits there and everything, too. Giving the Ultras something to gnaw on for a little bit, but obviously that means they stop moving. So 2 Marauders there get sacrificed, while the rest of the Terran army gets, like, multiple shots in. Supply-wise, though, this game is not lying. There's a lot of resources available for the Zerg, too, so there we go. She decides to morph in 7 Brute Lords. Now, Brute Lords have a lot of range. Thors are really good against Brute Lords, but as far as I can tell, there's no more Thors available. Nope. It's just Marine Marauder Medivac. Terran's actually kind of running out of money here. Old main base is flying on over towards the low ground. Natural Expo also probably will be repositioned soon enough. Widowmine over here being a nuisance. I guess that Scarlett wants to go for the base at the 12 o'clock. But now the Brute Lords are done. We did obviously see those upgrades for the Mutalisks earlier. So +2, +1 for the Mutas. Yeah, I think this comes down to Cure just not respecting the hive tech for the Zerg at all. There has never in this game, right? Or in this series, rather. We have not seen a transition towards Ghosts, towards Liberators, towards anything. It's just Marine Marauder, Medivac, Mine. Maybe he's doing the Mono Battle Challenge, where you can only play games with the units that start with one of the same letter. I don't know. Marine Marauder, Medivac, Mine is all he's making. Okay, Vikings are coming up as a reaction right now, but honestly, that is so late. Brute Lords are slow. So maybe there can be like 4 or so Vikings out so they can start shooting away, but already a couple of reinforcing Corruptors have found their way over here too. I like what Cure does, going for the counterattack instead, abusing the speed right here of the Brutes. Scarlet though just mostly ignoring that fight up north, sending a few units over there. Beautiful splits once again by Cure, keeping most of that army alive. It was better before I started that sentence. Anyways, I think reinforcements will probably be used here to deal with this army. This might be an oversight, though. I feel like maybe the Ultras have to go home with some of that army. Corruptors, though, parked on top of the location where the Vikings probably will be popping out. Counterattack right now from Cure. It's going to be able to take care of the gold base. Base in the top right-hand corner also in some trouble. Obviously, base at the 12 o'clock was killed already as well, so Cure actually is forcing the Zerg into a crazy decision once again. I don't think the Brute Lords and the Queens can go home, right? So this is going to be an army that's, yeah, going to be defended mostly just with reinforcing Terran units, I suppose. I mean, Cure does have a bit of an army here hiding in the corner. Corruptors right there using their cross-stick spray ability. Scarlett even taking one of the bases that's normally the Zergs. At the same time, though, the Zerg army is ready to pounce on top of this Terran force. Cure, once again, seems to be in control. He needs to be very careful, though. Banelings here get slowed down by the concussive shells. There are so many Banelings available. Does decide to lift up the majority of that Terran army and get on out of there. Nicely done there by Cure. This is finally the moment where those Vikings start moving, but I think there might be enough Queens as well as Corruptors available. Good transfuses right there by Scarlett. The Brute Lords are just simply decimating this Terran's main base, and obviously that's where all the production of the Terran player is at. So even though Cure does have some money here in the bank, there's really not a lot of places where he can spend it. What a game. What a game to end things on. Scarlett's kind of broke, though. She doesn't really have a whole lot of mining anymore. Her last money was spent on more and more Corruptors, but I think she's done it, right? There's not a proper counter here to the Brute Lords whatsoever. Now the Corruptors are going to be able to chase down the Vikings. Terran army still available over here. Just trying to figure out where to position that army, but the Ultras, Lings, and Banes are just chasing it down. Even though they can't kill it, that army also can't really land and reposition itself. Okay, instead I think Cure may very well have decided to go back into the main base. Hatchery over here will be spotted. Base in the top right-hand corner also being taken. Ultras over here, and together with a couple of Zerglings and maybe some Banelings, are killing some more SCVs. GG is called. And with that, it's Scarlett who obtains the victory 2-1 over the GSL Code S winner.